All right, let's just get right into it. If you're trying to break into data analytics, you know that feeling, right? You open up a job portal, you're full of hope, and then you just hit a wall. And that wall, well, it usually looks a little something like this.
2 to 3 years of experience required. You see this line on pretty much every single data analyst job description out there, even the ones that are supposedly for entry-level roles. It's the very first hurdle, and let's be honest, it feels like a massive one.
And it just gets worse from there, doesn't it? You scroll down, and you see this huge list of advanced tools. Snowflake, Redshift, AWS, BigQuery, stuff you've barely even heard of, let alone used. So if you're a fresher, maybe you know a bit of Excel and some SQL, looking at this doesn't feel like a job description. It feels more like a horror movie. You're left thinking, man, if this is what they want from a fresher, what in the world are they asking for in senior roles?
And that brings us to the kind of scary truth about the job market for new analysts. So let's really break down why so many beginners feel like they're being knocked out of the race before it's even begun.
So look at how all these struggles are connected. It all starts with feeling totally overwhelmed by the sheer number of tools. That leads straight to what I call the portfolio gap. You might have some certificates, sure, but you don't have any real solid projects to show. Then, of course, you run into those terrifying job descriptions. But pay close attention to those last 2 points, because they're the ones people often miss: the communication gap and having a passive learning mindset. It shows that this isn't just about the technical skills you're missing, it's about the strategic skills you need to build.
And this right here perfectly explains that communication gap. See, companies aren't just looking for a chart maker who can build a nice-looking dashboard. They need a storyteller. They need someone who can look at the data and explain why sales are down, and then suggest how to actually fix the problem. They're hiring you to solve business problems, not just to make pretty pictures.
So you have to be wondering, why do companies do this? Why are these job descriptions so incredibly demanding? I promise it's not personal. There's actually a business logic behind all of this.
Here's the logic from their side, in a nutshell. Hiring a fresher is a big investment of both time and money. It can easily take 6 to 12 months to get someone fully trained and productive. But businesses are under immense pressure to get results right now. So, when a recruiter has to choose between a beginner and someone with experience who can jump in and start delivering value from day one, well, the choice is pretty clear for them. But, and this is the big pivot, this does not mean the door is closed for you. Not at all. It just means the rules of the game are a little different. You can't just sit around and wait for a company to give you experience. You have to go out and create it for yourself. So how in the world do you do that? Well, it's time for the game plan. This is your strategy to create that experience and actually win this game.
First things first, stop letting yourself get overwhelmed. You need to apply the 80-20 rule. The truth is, about 80% of what's actually required in most data analyst jobs comes from just a handful of core tools. All those other fancy advanced tools, they make up the last 20%. And trust me, you can learn those later on. And what are these magical core tools? It's this simple. Master Excel, get really good at SQL, and pick one visualization tool, either Power BI or Tableau. Please do not try to learn both at the same time. Just focus. These 3 skills are your golden ticket into the industry.
Okay, so here's the full strategy, laid out step by step. First, you master those core tools. Then, you use them to build real-world projects that solve actual business problems. Next, you leverage those projects to create your own experience. While you're doing all this, you need to be networking to get referrals, because blindly applying to 300 jobs online has like a 0% return. And finally, you practice explaining your findings. You practice becoming that storyteller we talked about.
Now, create your own experience might sound a little vague, but it's really not. Just look at these examples. You could analyze the Motto data to figure out why customers are leaving, or build a dashboard using an HR dataset to uncover why employees are quitting. You can volunteer for a small startup or an NGO that's desperate for data help. Even doing some freelance work counts. This is the stuff you put on your resume under the experience section.
Okay, so that's the plan. But to make it feel a lot less overwhelming, let's actually put it on a timeline. Here's a super practical 12-month roadmap for anyone who's learning this on their own.
For the first 3 months, your only job is to practice Excel and SQL every single day. That is it. For the next 3 months, you add Power BI or Tableau to the mix, and you build 2 or 3 really solid projects. Then, from months 6 to 9, you start creating that experience we talked about, volunteering, interning, freelancing. And only then, in that final 3-month stretch, do you start applying seriously for jobs, focusing on the network you've built to get referrals.
So what about Python and advanced SQL and AI and all those other tools from those scary job descriptions? Simple. You learn them after you land the job. The goal is to get your foot in the door first. Then you can focus on upskilling. Trying to learn everything all at once is just a recipe for burnout.
All right, let's wrap this all up with a really crucial mindset shift. This whole journey is a marathon, okay? It is not a sprint. Every single successful analyst you see out there was a beginner at one point, just like you.
You know, the only real difference between the people who make it and the ones who don't is this. Winners don't give up. They are consistent. They build things. They share what they're working on. They build a network, and they practice turning boring data into compelling stories. It's really just a system of good habits.
And please, remember this key insight. Your first job probably won't be your dream job. It's not going to be perfect. But you know what? That doesn't matter. Its only purpose is to be the door opener. Once you're inside the industry, the potential for growth is limitless, and that experience barrier is gone for good.
And to help you find that door, don't just search for data analyst. Look for these other fresher-friendly titles. An MIS executive, for example, works heavily with Excel. A reporting analyst builds dashboards all day. These roles are fantastic entry points that help you build the exact skills you'll need to grow your career.
So, after all of this, the roadmap is clear, and the strategy is proven to work. The only real question left is the one you see right here. Are you ready to put in the consistent effort? Because in the end, that is the only thing that separates the winners from everyone else.